What is up, my fellow weirdos, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the Virgo full moon that is happening Monday the 9th, and basically how it's going to be for all of us, no matter what sign you are, who you are, what's going on with you. There's going to be a kind of like filter, you could say, a kind of like theme that we all may feel in some way or another, whether in our lives or we may see it in the world or in other people's lives. So we are going to talk about what's to come for the week ahead. The Virgo full moon is happening on the 9th, which is Monday for me, and it is going to happen around 1:50 p.m. New York time. Okay, so keep that in mind, and if you would like to, you know, chillax, grab a drink, grab a snack, get a notebook out if you want to take some notes, it's all good. Do whatever you need to do to get comfortable, because we are going into it. I cannot wait to share some of this information with you guys. We are going to get all the way astro nerd on you, and you do not have to understand astrology to kind of understand this. I'm going to try to explain it to you in the most simple way that I can, as usual. And then we are going to do some readings as well for you guys, so please stay tuned for that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So on Monday, okay, the moon is going to be in the sign of Virgo. So what is a full moon? A full moon is when the moon is basically at the opposite side of the sky as the sun. Okay, so the sun and the moon are opposite each other. The earth is in between, right? So we're like, shit, I don't know, I'm in the middle. Like the earth is like basically the middleman. Like, I don't know, man, like I'm just chilling here. Y'all are on either side of me, you know what I mean? So the moon represents our emotional wants, our emotional needs, our habits, our subconscious, our feelings, our emotions, and basically just the subconscious habits and patterns we do. It represents our reactions. Now the sun represents kind of like what we want, what we desire in life, our path, what we identify with, right? Our goals. It represents the light. It is seeing things, right? Like if you were thinking like yin and yang, like the moon is yin, the sun is yang. It is what it can see. The moon is what it can feel. It knows from its feeling and intuition rather than seeing, if that makes sense. Basically, they're going to be in opposite ends, and because Virgo is the opposite sign of Pisces, that's why the moon in Virgo will make a full moon, because the sun is in Pisces, because we are still in Pisces season. This full moon is so freaking interesting, and I just cannot wait to share it with you guys. So first I want to go over what is Virgo. So Virgo is our earthy, mutable earth sign, okay? That, you know, that didn't really make sense, but basically it is the mutable earth sign. Okay, so mutable means kind of shifting, changing. Earth is earth, right? It's the element of earth. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, right? And so we would kind of want to look for Mercury when looking at this chart, which I'm looking at right in front of me. And Mercury is retrograde at this full moon in the sign of Aquarius, which is also very interesting. But the day of this full moon, Mercury is going to go direct, which is even more interesting, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But what is Virgo? Virgo is practicality, realistic, you know, it's pragmatic, reliable, hardworking. It is service to others. There's like a sense of humble and frugalness with Virgo as well. My Venus and Jupiter is in Virgo, so I'm kind of familiar, and my boyfriend's a Virgo rising, and so is my son. It's kind of like a meticulous sign, a modest sign. And what I think is very interesting, and we went over this in my Soulology course for shadow season, we went over the shadow of all 12 signs to help kind of figure out what kind of shadow you would need to work through, or what kind of shadow work you may need to do. I actually read this in a book. The shadow of Virgo is really interesting to me. It's almost the saddest one, honestly, and it's really like a shadow of self-worth and feeling like, you know, they have to do XYZ, they have to do all these things for others and deal with the more kind of depressing parts of humanity, because Virgo deals with the things that no one else wants to do, right? It's kind of like, and that's why it rules health and things like that. And a lot of Virgos are just amazing at health and becoming doctors and nurses and surgeons and dentists. Like, they do the dirty work like that we don't normally want to do. They take care of the small things and even the big things, but you know, Virgo as a sign normally rules the small things. It's like the responsibilities that normal people don't want to take care of. Like, Virgos are very tuned into that, but they also don't like it, if that makes sense. And to me, or well, in this book, it states that basically it is a representation of the shadow of Virgo is basically feeling like it must have done something to deserve to be in such a shitty existence, if that makes sense. Like, it must have done something to source or God or however you want to put it to be in such a shitty plane of existence. And I thought that was so mind-blowing and so sad at the same time. I was like, wow. Like, that is not that is not something that I expected. And so a lot of Virgos that I've noticed have major self-esteem issues. I mean, there's good things, there's amazing things to Virgos. Like, I literally do not think I could survive. None of us could survive without Virgos, okay? Like, let's just get that all the way out there right now. Virgos are very honest, they're very blunt, they're not going to sugarcoat shit. They're going to tell you if you have something in your teeth. They're going to tell you if your breath smells. Like, they're going to tell you if your makeup's all jacked up. Like, they notice those things. They notice the small things. They literally have an energetic makeup built to deal with the shit that no one else wants to deal with. And for that reason, they can come off very humble because they don't have a great sense of confidence within themselves. And you have to think of Virgo rising has Leo, which is self-confidence, in the 12th house, right? And so that just even more is like, kind of goes to show you and they have Capricorn in their 5th house, you know, their 5th house of self-expression and pleasure. They got hard earth, you know, heavy Saturn ruled Capricorn in there. Like, so Virgos, we need to appreciate the Virgos more, okay? They have a hard job in this life, but they're amazing people. They show us that practice makes perfect. They show us that it's not all about us. You know, they're the sign after Leo, right? And Leo's the sun. So they're like blinded by the sun, you know, all the freaking time. It's about cleanliness. It's about order. It's about, you know, our well-being, our hygiene. And like, Virgos just have this sense of this energetic makeup built up into them. And so why I'm saying this is because this full moon in Virgo is going to bring out those themes in our life where maybe we've been over-sacrificing, or maybe we haven't been grateful enough, maybe we haven't been appreciative enough, maybe we've been too in our ego, maybe we've been too judgmental, right? Because the thing that the Pisces and Virgo axis, this thing that these two signs have in common, right, is that they both are very self-sacrificing. Okay, and they both deal with spirituality in different ways. Virgo deals with the more devoted earth sense of spirituality, and Pisces deals with the more watery, out there, higher octave of spirituality, you could say. But the lower octave of Virgo is being judgmental, is being too overanalyzing, is worrying too much, you know what I mean, is being too overly critical, is, you know, putting others before themselves too much, not having any boundaries, not knowing when to leave a situation, being too conservative, being too uptight, being somewhat of like a prude, you know what I mean? These things can come when Virgo is not, you know, fully in their power. And Pisces, the lower octave of Pisces, is being delusional, being too empathetic, right? Like, not setting boundaries, not having boundaries, right? Putting others before themselves as well, being too self-sacrificing. And so these are the things that are going to come up when we are dealing with this Pisces Virgo axis, okay? And there may also be something wrapping up, because what I was just looking at here was my Virgo new moon notes from last year, because I had some interesting stuff around on here. The sun was opposing Neptune for the Pisces full moon last year. So this was like kind of the higher part of this moon cycle that we've been going through. So like this was kind of like the whole moon cycle that we've been going through. So what were you doing around like the end of August into September last year? Like, is it coming together? Does something need to change? Do we need to tweak something? Do we need to fix something? Virgo is about fixing things, right? And that's why it can stay in situations longer than it needs to, because it tries to fix, okay? So that's what's going on with those are the two energies of this full moon with Pisces and Virgo. But to make this even more kind of amped up is the sun has Neptune with it. So there's going to be a high sense of Neptunian energy. Now, each planet, each sign, each house, it kind of has its positive things, you could say, and negative things, depending on how you look at it, right? It's all about perception. But Neptune deals with our perception. It deals with our vision. It deals with blurred lines, right? It deals with illusion, delusion. It deals with this like very similar Piscean things. It can deal with escapism as well. You know what I mean? So there may be the kind of like harder aspect of this for some people would be having to face something that we've really put off or escaped or not built up, you know, boundaries against. In some way, shape, or form, having to do something along those lines. Another thing that I'm really, other themes that I'm really feeling here are honesty, modesty, like I said before, humbling ourselves, sacrifice, like I said before, answers with Mercury going direct on this same date in Aquarius, being charitable, you know, psychic gifts, awareness, coming to some kind of higher vision about something, like overwhelmed with this sense of just knowing or this sense of being able to understand or see something clearly. Also compassion, you know, clear vision. Also, we can maybe see where our vision has been blurry or over exaggerated. Empathy, spiritual health, spiritual detox. So this is a great time to do some kind of practice, yoga, meditation, you know, like dance, something, some kind of Reiki, just some kind of spiritual practice, some kind of spiritual discipline. That's another thing this could bring up. Our lifestyle. Are we living a lifestyle that's in alignment with what we want, our goals, who we are, the visions that we have of ourselves? Are we stuck in bad habits or bad patterns that we just keep overplaying? Also, Virgo rules the digestive health system. Okay, so anything going on with your gut could come up around this time, and Pisces rules the feet. So something with your feet could come up around this time, and since Virgo does rule health, if anyone's having health issues, it may have something to do, depending on your own personal transits in your chart, but it may have something to do with your stomach, okay? Maybe your feet, but I feel like if it's your feet, you're probably gonna know it's your feet. So small fixes have a big result around this time, okay? That's what I feel from this. And it's becoming aware of the small details, the small reactions, the small patterns, because the moon is in Virgo. So this is our subconscious patterns, okay? Pisces is normally our subconscious patterns, but the sun and Neptune are here. So we are going to be able to see clearly what our subconscious patterns look like. And here I still have this chart over here. So the moon, so as you can see, we have the moon right here in the sign of Virgo, right across from the sun in Pisces. The sun is going to be right on top of Neptune, rushing. So the sun is going to be right in alignment with Neptune, okay? These two are joining up, and they're going to be opposing the moon in Virgo, okay? And then Mercury is going to be right here in Aquarius, and it's going to start going forward. Another thing that's happening is we're going to have Venus right on top of Uranus, okay? And a lot of you may already be feeling some of these energies. Venus right on top of Uranus is very interesting. Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Venus is at home in Taurus. So Venus just came out of Aries, where it is not very powerful because Venus rules Libra, and Aries is the opposite sign to Libra. So it's almost like across the street from its home, but it's not really home, right? And so it's not very powerful there. And on top of it, while it was in Aries, it was squaring Saturn when Saturn was in Capricorn. And so basically, Venus just got hit by Big Daddy Saturn. So this is like the little girl trying to go wild in Aries, trying to be confident, live out her best life. And Big Daddy Saturn is up here with rules and barriers and boundaries and, you know, think about your future, invest in a college fund, you know, put a different shirt on, get off those shorts, they're too short, like all this kind of stuff. And so the female energy of Venus has been getting pissed, right? Aries can be anger as well. It's been getting pissed. It's like, I just want to live my best life. I just want to show off my body how I want to. I don't want all these rules. I don't want all these boundaries. I didn't ask for this shit, right? And so then she's going to move into the sign of beautiful Taurus. Now, this is her home, okay? This is where she's powerful AF. She loves Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, okay? So she's going to move into Taurus, and then guess who's in her house? Uranus. So Uranus is sitting here chilling, right? And she's like, oh, hi there, how are you? You know what I mean? But Uranus can offer her something that Saturn may have taken away from her, or she may have felt like, you know, it took it away from her, which was her freedom. That's what Uranus is all about, freedom and liberation, okay? So when she meets up with Uranus in her ruling sign where she is most powerful, we are going to see some electric, eccentric, exotic, feminine energy, liberating feminine energy. Also beauty, because Venus and Taurus both rule beauty, okay? So there may be some new trends, right? And Uranus has been in Taurus. It finally moved in for good last year, okay? So around this time last year, I believe, or at least like a month or two off. But so those of you that, you know, we all have Taurus in our chart, so see where Taurus is at in your chart, but especially for those of you that have prominent placements in Taurus, in the beginning of Taurus, Sun, you know, rising, moon, and you've been wondering what this Uranus transit has been doing for you, Venus is going to help you get a little bit of a taste of that, okay? And this is going to be conjunct, on the day of the full moon. I think it might even start Sunday. So we're really going to start seeing this liberation of divine feminine energy, of just feminine energy, of sexuality, of expressing ourselves the way that we want to, of beauty, just liberation, okay? Now, Venus also rules relationships and sensuality and, you know, partnerships and creative projects. So you're going to see a sense of liberation and randomness and eccentricity in those areas as well. Now, Uranus can also be kind of random, out of nowhere events. You want to think, when you're thinking of Uranus, you want to think of like lightning, okay? So it can be really random events, okay, that just strike out of nowhere, that catch you off guard, to do with your relationships or to do with your style or to do with your creative projects or your money. So we're also dealing with money and values here. So that's another thing that we're definitely going to see. Now, something else that I found very, very interesting about all of this, I looked up the Sabian symbols, okay? And for those of you that don't know what they are, I'm not going to get into it in this video. You can Google it. But I look up the Sabian symbols, and one of my favorite sites to use is Lee Coleman's Woo Astrology, because she actually has each Sabian symbol on there. She explains how to read them, and she gives her own interpretation. I believe it's her own interpretation, but she gives an interpretation of what she gets from each symbol. First off, the degrees of Mercury retrograde, where Mercury retrograde stationed in Aquarius, is the Sabian symbol Aquarius 29, because it's technically 28, but it's 28, it's over 28, so you round up. So the Sabian symbol for this is a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. And she had down the capacity to utterly transform one's consciousness by radically altering the structure of everyday living and the types of relationships one enters. Now, I find that very, very interesting. I've been seeing like the symbols for butterflies everywhere in this Mercury retrograde. And also just the transformation of one's consciousness through the structure of everyday living. This has been also very lifestyle based. And I've been seeing that in my life personally. And I feel like we are expanding into a new way of thinking, into a new level of consciousness. A lot of people are awakening, even if they've already, you know, even if they're already enlightened, you know what I mean? They're like awakening again. And so I find that very interesting. And if you find that any of this relates to your life, definitely let me know down below. Share it on social media. I always read your guys's, if you tag me on social media, I always read it or share it. So definitely do that. And another thing that I found with this energy, because another thing I wrote down here is dissolving the ego, okay, and becoming aware of the small details and patterns, and also group efforts. And I wrote that down, and then I've started reading the Sabian symbols for some of the other placements, the big placements we have going on right now, and I was just like in freaking shock, you guys. So for Virgo, for the moon at Virgo, the Sabian symbol is, well, okay, so at the time, I wrote down the one for at the time of the full moon, and then I wrote down the one at the time right before the full moon. So right before the full moon, it is a swimming race, which basically indicates like a competition or a group sport that is somewhat competitive, right? And I think that's interesting because of the Mars transits that we have going on here. Like, you know, Mars went over the south node, and Mars is also going to be trining this full moon and sextiling the sun. Okay, so that's very interesting. And there has been a little bit of like competition, you know, like with this whole virus, people like, you know, wanting to go, you know, get things and not think about other people. And it's just been very like, what can I do to survive, and less of like, you know, how can we all figure this out? And I kind of feel like that's the energy that this full moon is bringing up, is group effort, because the Sabian symbol of the actual degree of where the full moon is happening is a caravan of cars headed to the west coast. Like, and her interpretation she had on her side of this is the need of cooperative effort in reaching any new world experience. So I definitely think with these transits that something is going to happen with this coronavirus, that something's going to go public that we maybe didn't know before, or we're going to realize something or become aware of something, okay? Because Virgo deals with health, right? Neptune deals with viruses, and so does Pisces. Pisces deals with endings. Aquarius deals with the collective and answers. And Virgo deals with answers as well. Mercury direct deals with answers, and the confusion will stop. So there's no more like not understanding something, right? Things are going to start making sense as Mercury keeps going forward. Jupiter also deals with answers and understanding, and this full moon is going to make aspects to Jupiter. And then plus the two luminaries are involved, which illuminate things, the moon and the sun. It illuminates things, okay? Now, I also think that something's going to happen with travel because Jupiter is involved as well. Okay, and so is Pisces, and Pisces deals with faraway lands, so I do feel like something is going to happen with travel here. Plus Jupiter is getting closer and closer to Pluto. Mars is coming up on Jupiter and Pluto as well, so I just want to say that. Just remember, guys, I'm not saying that all of this is going to necessarily happen on Monday. Some of it could, and you could start seeing some of it before then, or you could have already started seeing some of it, but the energy from the full moon does normally last up to a couple weeks, okay? Like we'll stop feeling the full moon's energy once we get into the next new moon, which will be the Aries new moon at the end of this month. So just keep that in mind. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to be feeling this energy, and full moons are a time where things are a little bit more dramatic. They're a little bit more intense and dramatic than new moons, so keep that in mind. But anyways, we are going to go ahead and get into it. I think that is, yeah, that is all that I wrote down here. it's definitely important to work together right now. It's definitely important to try to forgive, try to release any kind of heaviness that you have if it's really bothering you, right? Because here's the thing with this energy that I've been finding for myself. I've been dealing with this energy of like, well, this thought process that I go back and forth with of being human versus being spiritual. And it's like, yeah, you can be both, but it's finding that balance, because your ego can easily trick you into being too spiritual and being better than, and basically blocking out any kind of humanness, right? Like any negative experiences, trying to stay on a spiritual high 24/7, trying to only have positive in your life, you know, trying to basically cheat, you know, and not have to deal with being human or deal with other people's emotions or, you know, play the human game. And I don't agree with that, because why in the hell would we be here if we weren't supposed to play the human game? You know what I mean? I would think we'd be wherever the hell we go when we die, right? So I've been kind of struggling, because part of me, I have days, right, where I'm human and I'm like, wow, I can't believe someone just said that about what the hell ever, right? About trying to stay positive all the time, or just stay positive, like just ignore the negative, like other people shouldn't affect you like that, or people that are constantly fear-mongering, like if you don't do this by Tuesday, you know what I mean, like you're missing out, like I don't know what you're gonna be stuck, you're gonna be left behind, you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, like wow. And you know, and I am going through some transits right now where it's like I want to like say shit, you know what I mean? Uranus is opposing my Mercury. So I'm just like wanting to like go the hell off all the time. Just speak freely, because that's what Uranus is, liberating. And it's like liberating through my voice. But I'm like, well, that's not very spiritual of me. Or look, well, I'm judging too by judging them, right? But the thing is like I'm aware of it. And so yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth with this whole thing that I've been noticing, and the more and more I just keep noticing is like, it's okay to be human. Like I'm going to be human. I'm going to still judge people sometimes. I'm going to still have a different opinion. I'm going to still get pissed off at people. People are still going to get under my fucking skin sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I'm not here to be like smiling in your face and all namaste, love and light 24/7. That's not me. And like if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for someone to like help you escape human existence even more and just help you cope with human existence like over and over and over again, instead of actually dealing with your shit and facing the issues and like not putting your trauma in a little box and acting like it doesn't exist, or putting any kind of negative experience that you don't want in your life in a box and shoving it away, then I'm probably not the girl for you. So, but most of you guys know that, I'm sure. So I just wanted to go on that little rant really quick. So let's go ahead and get into these readings and see what is coming for you guys for this Virgo full moon. Alrighty guys, I need you guys to pick one of these three piles. This is pile 1, this is pile 2, this is pile 3. I will put like a little video up so you can see the piles a little bit better if you need to pick. And yeah, just pick one of the three piles and we'll get right into it. What is going on, pile number 1? This is for those of you that picked the first pile. So this is very, very interesting. I feel that you guys are being called to go back and observe something from the past, okay? Something that you've had possibly some guilt about, a decision that you may have made in the past, or even a connection or a commitment, something along those lines. And this could happen by either someone coming back in your life that brings this up, or a situation coming back into your life that brings up this past decision. And you're kind of at this crossroads with the Lovers here, or at this commitment, like this, it's like time to kind of take a path, or time to kind of decide. There's like a new path opening up for you. But with the Hermit here, and there's tons of cards here about wisdom, and I think that's funny with the Hermit here, It's kind of like learning from an experience of the past, because we also have the Knight of Wands and the Five of Swords reversed, okay? With the Five of Swords reversed, it's like feeling guilty about something, like there's something unresolved. There was a situation that you couldn't help, I feel, and it's been carrying with you, like you've carried it with you and you've blamed yourself for it, and you have taken it on like it's your own fault, okay? And you've blamed yourself for it even though there was no win in the situation, or maybe you felt like you got lucky in the situation, or you did win in the situation and you felt guilty for winning, or you feel guilty for doing something that you're doing, okay? And so, and then we also have the card Pandora's Gift here, and this card is all about like forgiving yourself for curiosity, right? Forgiving, like you're wiser now than you were then, okay? You had to go through that experience, whatever it was, to understand. If she didn't open the box, she wouldn't have understood what came from like opening the box, you know what I mean? Like she would have just thought about it. And same with the Lovers card. This is very much, you know, kind of like Adam and Eve vibes, the snake, you know what I mean? Like women are curious in general, and even if you're not a woman, we all have yin and yang energy within us. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. You were curious. We have the Ask Body card here. You were curious, you know what I mean? But there's something that you've been carrying with you from the past, I feel, that is being brought up for you to observe in a different light, because we have the Observer card here. And I think by you carrying it with you, it's possibly even like affected your health in some way, or it's possibly been holding you back health-wise in some way, because we also have come to life. Okay, so it's like come back to life, quit living in the past, quit living in black and white, quit judging yourself, release the judgment on yourself. And if you've been feeling lost, because we have the Search here, which is all about feeling a little bit lost, feeling a little bit confused, feeling a little bit lonely, okay? It's like, and for some of you, maybe people got mad at you for making whatever decision this was, you know what I mean? Maybe people didn't agree with it, but you had to go through that, because we have Gaia here, wisdom, knowledge, spiritual understanding. You had to go through that for your own personal development, okay? Because we even have the Well Watcher, which is wisdom, power of the divine, the Winged Wise One, angelic help, miraculous aid. It's like, I honestly feel like for like some of you guys are going to go through some major healing energy once you can lift this judgment off of yourself. And then with achievement, we have keep focused on your dream. Like you didn't do anything wrong. Get rid of this judgment. Get rid of this right and wrong, lower frequency way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like whatever you did, release the burden, release the judgment on yourself. Like it happened, okay? There's nothing you can do to change it. So if you're carrying any guilt with you, or if you've been carrying a situation with you that has been unresolved in any way, and now you're at a point where you're having to face that decision that you made, or maybe you're having to see the other side of that decision. It's like, stand by it. You know, that's what I'm getting with the cards here, stand by it. And if you're seeking something, you know, make sure that you pay attention to how is your body feeling? You know what I mean? Like what did my body tell me to do? That's what I did. Like, I can't be mad about that. Like, with the knowledge that you had, the experience that you had at the time, with all of the different variables, the air, the people you were around, what you listened to earlier that day, like anything, it all went into making the decision that you made, okay? So it was a lesson to be learned from. It was a lesson that you needed to learn from. So don't keep like shaming yourself for it. You know, don't keep trying to carry that burden with you, okay? So that is what I am getting for you guys. Pile number one, let me know down below if that resonated, and we are going to move on to pile number two. Okay, so pile number two. This is interesting. So what I see here, pile number two, is that there was something that has been ending for you guys. It's been like a long transition out of this, and it has something to do with something you lost. So this could have been a source of income, a job, a friend. I mean, I don't know if it's just like they're not in your life anymore, or like with the Death card here, but there's something that you lost, because we also have lost love, surrender, healing, and release. There's something that fell apart. It was like a structure you had built, because we also have the pillar here. So it was something you built for yourself, whether it was a relationship, a friend, a relationship with a friend, or a significant other, a job, like a project, something like didn't work out, and it's been kind of going through a transformation with the Death card here, and you haven't been seeing it properly, I feel, because we have the Two of Wands, the Strength card, and the Five of Cups. Okay, so it's almost like your perception has been a little bit skewed with it ending with the Five of Cups there. You've been too focused on what was lost and not what you still have left emotionally, okay? It's not that it was like all necessarily lost, it's that you feel like it was. Because we also have the card of perception here, beyond the veil of illusion, okay? And then we also have the void, which tells me that there's like a sense of feeling like there's nothing left, or a sense of feeling like with the void, it's all about how you look at it. Like the void is dark, it's empty, so you can either look at it as like a space to create anew, or you know, as it's always going to be empty, right? That's completely up to you. You can look at these cups as like they're always going to be spilled and empty, and you know, screw these two cups, like doesn't matter because these three cups are empty. Or you can look at them like, okay, like they'll fill up again, I have these two left, like it's okay. You know what I mean? You're not seeing what something could be, instead of you're living in the past, looking at what was instead of what is, right? Or what could be again. So we also have the Spirit Whisper, Divine Guidance, Higher Knowing, and then we also have the Sisters of Seasons, Cycles of Growth, Natural Law, Divine Order, okay? So you're definitely going through a little bit of a growth cycle right now. It may not be as over as you think it is, or I think you're just kind of having trouble with like the natural law, the cycles, the ebbs and flows of life. Like you're having trouble seeing it from a different point of view, from a different perspective, right? You're having trouble because with the pillar here, I feel like you like to have things very kind of like you like to have things that are really sturdy, and so when they fall apart, you feel vulnerable. And you may also be trying to do something all on your own and not letting anybody help you. And so whatever this thing was that may have fell apart, it may have been a huge pillar in your life. You know, it may have been something that you really relied upon. It may have been something that you really, you know, was like a huge foundation for you. Now we also have beyond the mind, the heart beats, and then we also have conscious connections. So with conscious connections, I feel like this definitely could be indicating to ask for help, to not try to do this all on your own. It could also have indicated, like I said before, if this was dealing with another person or a friend or a relationship, this could have been somebody that, you know, is no longer in your life for some reason. And then for beyond the mind, the heartbeats, I really feel with this card, this is about tapping back into that creative energy, not losing that creative energy, and really letting yourself kind of grieve and get it out of your system, and then, you know, get back to something, you know, find something that you love. Like we have a lot of kind of emotional heart chakra energy in this reading, I feel. And so it's really important to tap into that creative energy and not cut yourself off from other people, or not cut yourself off from, you know, emotions or other people's love, other people's connections, you know what I mean? So, and that's going to take strength with the Strength card here. You need to let someone help you, right? And that's why I feel like this really has to do with friendship possibly, or just some kind of relationship with a person, because we have the Strength card, the Three of Pentacles, conscious connections, lost love. Like it seems like there's trust issues here, or you're not letting other people help you or something along those lines. So that is what I'm seeing for you guys, pile number 2. Let me know down below if it resonated, and we are going to move on to pile number 3. What's going on, pile number 3? This is for those of you that picked the 3rd pile for the Virgo full moon. So what I see here, first off, pile number 3, is there's something that you're trying to do. There's something that you're trying to manifest, but your perspective is not high enough, because we literally have the higher perspective card reversed, we have the manifest card, and then we also have the temperance card, okay, with the Page of Pentacles. So there's something that you're trying to bring into form, because we even have the card bring it into form. There's something that you're trying to bring into form here, but I don't feel like it's almost like not happening, or it's super delayed. I also got with these 2 cards, some of you guys may have plans to travel and it may not happen, or it may get delayed, but it may be some kind of hidden opportunity that you don't see at the time when it happens. And another thing that we have here that I think is interesting is the Desert Prince, which says survival and false promises. So, and that's kind of what I'm getting here. It's like you want something to happen, you're trying to make something happen out of survival, or out of need, or out of like a sense of like, I need this to happen, but you're not looking at the bigger picture here. And that's what temperance is all about. It's teaching you to look at the bigger picture. It is teaching you to kind of bring together opposites, to really look at things from a higher perspective, examine your perception, examine your beliefs, reflect on what you believe, and learn to be in alignment, learn to be in balance. So something is kind of stopping this from coming in, and I really feel like it's your perspective, it's your thoughts, it's the way that you are wanting it to come in, because we also have a hidden path, a marriage of spirit and matter. So there's something here that you're not seeing. There's a way that this is happening that you may not be seeing. So how this could play out, I'm getting, is that some of you are wanting something to happen, but it either may not happen, or it may get delayed, or it may happen differently, or it may not happen at all, because you only want it to come in a certain way, okay? Or you only wanted it to be a certain way. Now this is happening to really help you know who you are, to really help you examine your true nature, and to get out of that survival mentality, and to really kind of like enlighten the fuck up, you know what I mean? Like come into a situation of, or come into enlightenment, to something is going to be illuminated for you, I feel, but it may take you getting held back from something that you thought you wanted at first for that to happen, okay? Because we also have the Queen of Light and diving for light, okay? So it's really like diving for light is about facing your fears. It is about looking at everything from a higher point of view. It is about doing shadow work, getting deep within your soul in order to finally be released into the light, in order to finally have some kind of higher perspective, some kind of enlightenment about the situation. We also have thinking of you, a loving thought. So I kind of feel for some of you, pile number 3, that you may be a little bit frustrated with people around this time, or you may feel like people are in your way, and it's really important to be very compassionate, to try to kind of compromise, okay? And that's another thing with temperance and the Page of Pentacles, compromising, maybe learning something new, learning a new skill. You're definitely getting taught a new skill here, but it may come in the form of some kind of delay or something random or something that you didn't expect, or something not working out, or you not being able to go somewhere that you wanted to go in some way. So that is basically what I am seeing for you guys. These were just shorter readings since I talked so much in the beginning, but that is what I'm basically seeing for you guys, pile number 3. Hopefully that resonated. Let me know down below, and that concludes this video. And yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.